Amir Khan versus Kell Brook, probably a fight 5 or 6 years overdue, but nonetheless still a big fight, especially in the UK, that we're definitely looking forward to here. Welcome to Boxing MMA Picks, where we're doing our usual. We're giving you a fight-by-fight breakdown, fight analysis from that betting perspective specifically. We're taking a look at this boxing fight here between Amir King Kong and Special K Kell Brook, a pretty good one that we have here, even at their respective ages of 35, definitely one that I'm still very excited for. Let's break these fighters down though. Of course, we have myself, Harris, as well as Zan. Make sure you subscribe to the channel here at Boxing MMA Picks. Hit the thumbs up as well as participate in the comments. We want to hear from you. Amir Khan, 35 years old. Kell Brook, 35 years old as well. Amir Khan considers himself a prize fighter at this point in time. He last fought July 2019, 2.5 years. That's where he beat Billy Dib. Going to be interesting to see what we get from Amir Khan this time around. He's been working with Terence Crawford and his camp for this fight. As a result, he says he's sharper and hungrier than he's ever been. We know oftentimes that's just talk, but working in Crawford's camp, I can definitely see that having an impact, a positive one at that, on his performance. Don't forget, Crawford also has intel on the Kell Brook camp, or the Kell Brook team, I should say, based on their fight. So you can imagine that some points were shared with Amir Khan. Otherwise, I mean, you sort of know the usual Amir Khan MO. We know he has fast hands. We know he throws multiple punch combinations. We know he has a good quick jab, high activity with good movement. I feel he performs his best when he's at the center of the ring, using his fast hands to pressure his opponents to the rope. Good in and out movement. We know the chin issues that he has. He's been wobbled pretty bad in several of his fights. And chin issues don't really correct themselves, regardless if the skill does or not. So that could be an issue here going up against Kell Brook. But he has, good moments in the fights, even the ones that have ended in him getting knocked out. He's had moments where he's scoring points. He's had moments where the speed that he possesses was posing a problem for his opponents. So we have to credit his ability to implement his game plan sort of no matter what. And if you take a look at his losses, I mean, they've been to the people that he sort of should have lost to. No real shame in his losses. I mean, you have, let's just go down here. Let me just close that. I mean, we have a loss to Terence Crawford, a loss to Canelo, a loss to Danny Garcia, a loss to Lamont Peterson. No shame really in any of those losses. So, he's somebody who performs when he needs to, for the most part. Taking on Kell Brook, last competed November 2020, so 15 months since his last fight. He lost to Terence Crawford, as I mentioned. We know the eye issues that he's had at this point in his career, but don't forget, this is a fighter who only has, I should say, 3 losses on his career, 39 wins and 3 losses. And those 3 losses are all to pound for pound fighters: Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, and Triple G. He was one of the best welterweights in the world up until that Triple G fight in 2016. And we've seen him sort of derail since. But still talented, still has it, still methodical, takes his time to read his opponents, especially early in the fight. Good feints, good well-placed to jab, good head movement. The ring movement is not really as good as Amir Khan's. He's had issues in the past with opponents upping the pressure on him. Looks like he'll take center of the ring, though. He'll look for his shot with good mounting pressure. And I think that's probably his strongest suit, is that he gives you that consistent mounting pressure. The hands aren't really too active. That's something that you'd want to see more from him if you are betting on him. That could be a huge downside for him in this fight, especially going up against Amir Khan, who we know to be very active with his hands. But he plays that counterpuncher role and throws, really only 1 or 2 punches at a time. But going up against Amir Khan's style, that counterpunch style could really work to his favor. He also has great timing and can stop his opponents from coming in with stiff counter shots, stiff 1-2s, really stopping the opponent from pressing forward. We know that he's a lot more effective when he is throwing combinations, of course. He has pop with his punches as well. Of his 39 wins, 27 of them via KO, TKO. And we see his last couple of wins here. Again, despite the 3 losses to pound for pound fighters, his 3 wins, Mark DeLuca, Michael Zarafa, Sergey Rabchenko, 2 of them have been via KO. So, still able to put those KOs together, still has good power, still something that you have to respect. When it comes to predicting this fight, I've been going back and forth on this one. I feel like this is a pretty difficult fight to pick a winner on confidently. But I feel like a few things are true. I feel, firstly, like I said, very tough fight to predict. Both fighters have such a unique strength to their advantage. Secondly, with as personal as this fight is on both sides, I am expecting both fighters to put on their best performance. Interesting to note, in the build up to this fight, it very much looks like Amir Khan is winning the mental battle. So that's something that maybe I didn't really expect, and something that maybe has a bigger impact on who I end up betting on come fight night. So it's something very interesting that I want to continue to monitor here. But Amir Khan, we know he's going to have the better movement. We know he's going to be the more active. His activity sometimes wins him rounds, like I mentioned. We know he's going to be the faster of the 2 fighters. Kell Brook, I feel I should say, will be the better counterpuncher. Will use strong counterpunching against Khan's style. Brook is much more powerful of the 2 punchers as well. And what's really important here is I don't anticipate Khan having the sting on his punches to hurt Brook. I think that's really important because although kind of stalemate rounds between him and Terence Crawford, it was until Terence Crawford's power made an impact before that fight changed. Going up against Errol Spence, it was until Errol Spence's power kicked in that made an impact on that fight. And going up against Triple G, where, if I'm not mistaken, his ring threw in the towel, if I recall that fight correctly, Kell Brook was mounting up a couple of rounds with really good performance. So he performs well unless or until power is a factor. And I don't feel Amir Khan has that power. Like I said, I've been going back and forth with this fight since it's been announced. I want to go Kell Brook. From the mental battle I've seen, I want to go Amir Khan. Because of the activity in the ring, I want to go Amir Khan. But I think that final point that I mentioned will ultimately make the difference for me here, in that I don't feel Amir Khan can hurt Kell Brook. And when Kell Brook is not facing a power threat, I think he's a lot more of an effective fighter. So I'm looking for Kell Brook to control the center. I'm looking for him to not be concerned with the power coming back. And I look for him to potentially land a fight that sort of changes the direction for Amir Khan with some of the chin issues that he's had in the past. Not the most confident of picks. I want to continue assessing this right until the ring walk to determine exactly which direction I want to bet in. But when I look at who is the pick that I would go with more times than not, I'm looking at Kell Brook. I think he has the ability. We'll get into sort of some decision conversation a bit later on, but just in terms of making a pick for now, I'll go Kell Brook. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I think this is a good fight. Better now than never. Better late than never. Amir Khan's going to have that movement. We know he's going to have that movement. He's going to be the better boxer in that ring. But Kell Brook can box as well. And I'll be quick. I'll be quicker than you, man. I like Kell Brook in this spot. For me, Amir Khan, he hasn't boxed in a couple of years. He's living that celebrity lifestyle. He got the big checks. He's living that lifestyle. This guy, I'm not sure he's even in the gym. I looked at his Instagram. I'm seeing some training, but I think Kell Brook never stopped training. I think Kell Brook just continued training. And when you look at the way their careers spanned out, they're both the same age. Amir Khan was really good at the beginning of his career, early on, and he was definitely better than Kell Brook. If he fought then, I expect Amir Khan to get Kell Brook early on. But later on, after 2014, 15, 16, 17, I think Kell Brook has surpassed Amir Khan. He got better later on in his career versus Amir Khan. And now he's been active. He's been in the ring. My only issue is that he had his face broken twice. So that is obviously a concern how he's going to approach this fight. But like Harris said, he's fighting a guy that doesn't have the hardest power. Kell Brook is motivated, super motivated in this spot. I think he's going to pull it off here. I think he's going to pull it off. I think he's going to eventually get Amir Khan hurt. He may get a finish here, but I just think at this point in their career, Kell Brook has kept training. Amir Khan had that big couple of years off. And I think he's just getting back. I think he's just getting back into the gym. I think he's getting back into training to get ready for this fight. But it's going to be hard to get in fight shape. While Kell Brook has always been in fight shape this whole time. So I'm going to go Kell Brook. I just think he had a better later career. I think he was better when they were older versus Amir Khan, who relies on his speed. So when he was younger, obviously the speed's going to help him a lot. But as you get older, you kind of slow down. So I think Kell Brook's style at this age is going to help him get the win here. So I'm going to go Kell Brook here. Close fight. Could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised Amir Khan outboxes him every round. But I just think Kell Brook's ready here. I think Kell Brook had a better later career. He didn't have that time off, and I think he's ready for this fight. So I'm going to go Kell Brook to get it done.
All right, let's take a look at Vegas here. Both of us leaning on the side of Kell Brook. We see him there hovering around -175. Of course, be careful with the platform that you're using. If it is a three-way bet, please make sure to try to avoid that. In which case we see the draw no bet option here, unfortunately costing a few, but nonetheless allowing for that two-way result. So Kell Brook, hovering in that -175 to -190-ish area, some decent value on just a straight up win. $100 returning 153, $250 returning 283. But if you're looking at any sort of additional results or additional prop, so to speak, what are you considering? What are you taking a look at?
Okay, this is a big one, but it's a tough one. But I'm going to go Kell Brook by KO.
All right, Kell Brook by KO. That will get you on the plus side of things. So we saw Kell Brook just the win would be 100 for 153. Kell Brook for the KO would be 100 for 225. Put that in comparison with the 250 amount sitting at 562 rather than about 380 and change. So definitely some value can be had, and a KO could definitely happen. I kind of lean to the same side because, again, I think Kell Brook can hurt him. I think there can be a fight-changing punch in this fight. It's just a question of whether that fight-changing punch will lead to the TKO or not, or if from there, Kell Brook would just sort of cruise to victory. The decision has me intrigued at plus 333 because, again, both of these fighters are a little bit older. Yes, Amir Khan has had more time off, but Kell Brook has still had over a year off at 15 months. Maybe doesn't really light it up. Maybe doesn't really have that knockout performance, but still potentially wins on points, in which case $100 will return 433. For our bigger bettors, $250 will return just over 1,000. So that's something that could intrigue me, but as usual, we're fans of just picking the winner, and we both feel that winner will be Kell Brook. We want to hear from you. We're gonna wrap up on that note. We want to hear from you in the comments. Let us know how you feel about this fight. Let us know how you feel about our picks, our analysis, and let us know if you agree with the decision that we made. Both going on the side of Kell Brook, both of us thinking that the TKO option is probably the best prop to bet on, but the decision option still showing some intrigue as well. Again, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the thumbs up on this video as well. But officially signing off, this is Boxing MMA Picks. He goes by Zan, I go by Harris, and in our usual fashion, let's get this money.
Let's do it.